So nice of you to let me drop you at your hotel, Mr. Darricott. Of course, it was wretched of that exhibit to be held so near the Metropole. Or we could have had a longer talk.
I'm told that mountains can be moved by faith, but I'm afraid nothing can be done about moving the Metropole. However, I console myself. We meet again within 2 hours.
And I'm so glad you were able to arrange your engagement so you could come. We dine early, 7:30. After all, we must hear something of the opera.
Ah, yes. Might be rather interesting sometime to find out whether Tosca really has a first act, huh?
Good afternoon, Mr. Darricott.
Charles. Until tonight?
Until tonight.
Calling Mr. Milner, 714. Mr. Milner.
Hey, on, Mr. Darricott. Well, good guy. All right, Mr. Darricott. You want Mr. Darricott?
What a marvelous day, Mr. Darricott.
Terrific.
Oh, for Mr. Henry. You wouldn't think a fella could run up a bill of $28 on 3-cent newspapers, would you?
Why not? He ran up 40 on me on 20-cent cigarettes.
You ain't worried, are you?
No, there ain't a chance in the world. That fella not coming through?
You said it. They don't make him any nicer than him. A real swell, what I mean.
Thank you, Fred.
It's always a pleasure, Mr. Darricott.
Eugene? How do I stand today?
Sorry, Mr. Darricott. You just dropped $3 million.
3 million, eh?
$3 million.
I'm afraid I haven't the cash on hand to reimburse you. Shall we call it square if I let you read the sporting page first?
Anything you say, Mr. Darricott. I took the other dress shirt to the laundry.
Oh, thanks, Eugene. Nice of you to go to so much trouble for me.
Why, I'd rather do a little valet service for you for nothing.
Nothing.
And for some of those guys who give me $20 tips.
Oh. It's not everyone who can have an address like the Hotel Metropole and valet service for $10 a week.
Ah. We know a gentleman when we see one, Mr. Darricott.
Stop, Eugene. You're turning my head.
Shall I lay out the evening clothes for you, sir?
Ah, yes. Meantime, I'll draw my bath. That is, unless someone else is using it at the moment.
It's so nice of you to dine with us, Mr. Darricott. I know how rushed you must be. Rushed? I should think an attractive bachelor in New York would be stampeded. How does one avoid being trampled in the jam, Mr. Darricott?
I'm afraid I can't give expert testimony. I'm just an innocent bystander.
Innocent bystander? Isn't that the fellow that always gets shot by accident?
Why, Pacey! Don't you ever get shot by accident, Mr. Darricott? So unromantic.
Perhaps you could suggest a romantic way for Mr. Darricott to get shot.
Well, in a pinch, I might shoot him myself.
It would be a pleasure to be a target for you.
I'd tremble so I'd probably miss you.
Well, if you're not going to shoot Mr. Darricott at this very moment, it might be fun to see if we can get the Robertsons on time just this once.
You'd better hurry too, Muller. You're more than fashionably late right now.
If we can ever get your father to stop giving his imitation of the caged lion, we can leave. Hollis.
Yes, dear.
Mr. Heldon, Mr. Dorset are here, sir.
Oh, yes, yes. I'm sorry, dear. I'd hoped these fellows wouldn't turn up. Well, Tony, it rather looks as if you and I must tear ourselves away from this pleasant gathering.
Right.
They heard about that Austrian loan.
Hollis.
Yes, dear.
I suppose this means you're not going to the opera with me again. Is that it?
Raise it down.
Oh, that's the second time this week you've disappointed me when I had my heart set on the opera. Hollis.
I'm sorry.
Well, what good does it do me for you to be sorry? Night after night, if I want to go any place, I have to go without you. It's humiliating.
Well, look here, my dear. It isn't as if I didn't want to go.
I don't believe you.
Well, if we could perhaps discuss this at another time
No,
when...
it's always some other time. I'm sick of it. I want to go to the opera, and I want to go with my husband. You've no right.
Mother.
And you, why do you have to go to those stupid business meetings with your father? Why
Well, it
can't...
only has to go into my bank. I don't quite see how he's going to get along if he doesn't know something of my work. Well, good night. Run along, son. Good night. Good night.
There's one thing you must admit about our family, Mr. Darricott. Never a dull moment.
Well, if you will excuse me...
Oh, Mr. Darricott, you won't disappoint me, will you? I've had my heart set on tonight's performance. You're it, you know.
I shall be delighted.
If Peyton and I didn't have this engagement, we simply must keep... Oh, I wouldn't think of making you change your plans, darling.
We're going to get to the...
All right, all right. Have a good time, Mr. Darricott. Good night, Mother. Good night. It seems as if you weren't going to have any choice.
Any choice?
Well, the way things have turned out. I'm afraid you're going to have me on your hands. For tonight, at least.
I shall be very happy.
I'll get my wrap. Lovely, isn't it?
Ah, yes. One of my favorite subjects.
Potemkin?
Catherine and Potemkin.
Oh.
A lucky chap. But he found his Catherine almost too late.
It would have been rather tragic for her, too, wouldn't it? If she had not found him.
I wonder. She made him a great man, didn't she?
He made her a happy woman.
And what better can any man ask for if he finds his Catherine?
But a woman can... But Catherine did find her Potemkin.
But he had to die.
Does Potemkin always have to die? Oh, what a dreadful fate.
What a glorious death. Shall we go?
To the opera?
To the opera.
You're not very complimentary, Mr. Darricott. I'm with you, and yet it seems as though you were alone.
I'm always alone. If you could only know what an evening like this can mean to a man like me. A home, fireside, charming woman.
What good are all those things where there's no love?
But where there is love.
I want so badly to talk to you, Jamie. It's almost too late for the opera.
It is too late.
It all seems so unimportant. The opera tossed through all those people. If only we could sit and talk. Perhaps if we could go to your... perhaps at the Metropole.
Well, if I'd only known, but unfortunately, my rooms are not my own for this evening. An old friend.
I know a place where we can be alone. And that's why I'm so unhappy.
I'm so sorry.
If I could believe you really meant that.
Please believe it.
Please me.
I mean it.
Then I believe it. Oh, how lucky I am.
Lucky?
Lucky to have met you. I have a husband whose life is not my life. I have children whose lives are their own. They don't need me. I need someone. I had nothing at all until I met you. And now,
$5,000, Mr. Darricott?
6.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of bracelets.
Okay, Mr. Darricott. I'll mail you the check as usual.
Thank you. Good day.
Good day, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Let's take a look at those bracelets, Fred.
All right, but you don't have to worry about them. He didn't have to steal them. That dame's only too glad to give them to him.
What dame?
Say, I had this out with headquarters 6 months ago. The first time he brought anything in. Mr. Horace Fendley might not know that these things are missing, but Mrs. Fendley does. You'll never get a report on them as stolen property.
Okay.
Gadgets like these can be converted into cash with a lot less trouble than a check. You have to sign your name on the back of a check, you know.
I'm sorry, Mr. Darricott. Mrs. Fenley left her home an hour ago. Her maid said there was no message.
No, thanks.
Yes, sir.
And, demi-tasse?
Well, I think we'd better wait, Vicar.
hello, Jamie.
What? Hello.
Surprised to see me.
Yes. And no.
There's a very simple explanation if you care to hear it. Aunt Mabel decided about an hour ago to enjoy very, very bad health. So Mother had to dash right out to Long Island to see her. She asked me to phone you that she couldn't keep her engagement with you. But somehow I forgot.
But you remember to keep her engagement for her.
As a matter of fact, Mother thought it'd be a good idea. That is, I'm sure she would have thought it a good idea if she had thought of it.
Funny, I was about to suggest it myself.
Liar. What you really mean is you're afraid you have a wasted evening on your hands.
Oh, an evening can never be called wasted until it's over.
I went to a lot of pains to dress the part, Jamie. You won't have to be very ashamed of me.
Banker's daughter breaks world altitude record, reaching for compliment.
Banker's daughter had just that intention.
Ashamed of you, my dear Rachel. You're positively...
Beautiful?
Oh, beautiful, of course. But the word I mean should also convey,
Brilliant. Radiant.
I'm sure you know just the word I mean. You're just too modest to use it.
When you call me modest, smile.
To call you modest, my dear, takes more than a smile.
Have it your way. Well, do we dine or do we dine?
We dine.
Yes,
We'll be 2 for dinner after all.
yes, sir. I have the table ready, sir.
Thank you.
Forgive me if I seem too bold, but dinner and the theater, I take it, will be just the hors d'oeuvre of the evening. And if I might make one more little suggestion, don't you think it would be a good idea if we kept the rest of the menu to ourselves?
You mean, not to tell,
Bright child. And now, Mr. Jamie Darricott, suppose I tell you I've been looking forward to substituting for Mother for months.
And suppose I tell you
What?
that you're a funny kid.
You'll change your mind about that, too.
Hi, Charles.
Thank you, Mr. Darricott.
Mr. Darricott, your cigarettes got in today from Cairo, sir.
Oh, send them up, Charlie, will you?
Yes, I will. Thank you, sir.
On, Mr. Darricott.
Hi, Mr. Darricott.
Good afternoon, sir.
Did you?
Miss Rachel's been waiting for you, sir. She's in the living room.
Thank you.
Hello.
Well, hello.
Well, aren't you glad to see me?
Always. But for the 20th time, I take the liberty of reminding you that it's very unwise of you to come here.
Meaning for the 20th time that Mother wouldn't like it if she found out?
You have an uncanny ability to divine just what I mean.
As a matter of fact, Mr. James Darricott, I came here to deliver a message, if you asked me. Particularly if Mother asked you. My party is not until 10, but Mother and I thought it'd be very sweet if you could come at 9 and help us with whatever pops up at the last minute.
I should be delighted.
Thank you.
But that is not what you came here to tell me.
I did have something else I wanted to talk to you about.
Ah,
Mother. You and she are being talked about. Everyone knows but Dad. You've become a town scandal.
it's an idle world, Rachel. Hundreds of people with nothing to occupy their time except... That still isn't what you came here to tell me. What is it?
It's you, Jamie. It's you and I. It's been nearly 4 months since we began seeing a lot of each other.
I know.
I can't keep on any longer this way.
Not easy for me, Rachel.
We've got to stop being furtive.
Strange girl.
In what way am I strange? Is it strange to fall in love, to want what you love?
My dear, I couldn't let you in for this.
There's no need for this. We could get married, you and I. Why not? I have my own money. I'll come into almost $3 million on my next birthday. Oh, I didn't mean to talk about that.
Well, that's all right. You're privileged to talk about money to me.
Jamie, why shouldn't we announce our engagement tonight?
It's impossible.
Why? I see. Jamie, you've got to break with this.
That's not so simple.
Oh, if you loved me as I love you, you'd find it very simple. How do you suppose I feel when I see you with Mother? How do you suppose I'll feel tonight, my own party? What do you think it's going to mean to me when I see you lead the grand march with her Friday night? Catherine and her Potemkin.
Rachel, you must be patient. Please.
Kiss me, Jamie.
You must go now.
I suppose I've got to start learning to obey you sometime. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Pardon me, sir. It's 12 o'clock.
What?
It's 12 o'clock, sir. Miss Fendley's party.
Oh, yes.
I can't imagine what's happened to him, or what could happen to Jamie Darricott. If you knew the number of women who try to trap him into going to their parties, if you had any idea...
It's such a lovely party. What difference does it make whether he comes or not?
Oh, makes a lot of difference. This is my party, and he might have had the common courtesy to me to be here.
Oh, Rachel, dear.
Now, what difference does it make whether he's courteous to you or not? Time you left Jamie Darricott alone, Mother. He used to be interested in any of the Fendleys.
Rachel.
Well, it's the truth. You've been fooling yourself long enough. You don't really think Jamie Darricott's coming here to see you.
Lady, dear. It was so lovely. Oh, Therese, you're not going.
You really must, Miss Fendley. I hate to, but I'm leaving for home tomorrow, and when I was your age, I never thought of going to bed, until other people were thinking of getting up, but I've got so much to do tomorrow morning.
Well, my dear, now that you've met us, you must come and see us often.
Oh, thank you. Will you say good night to Mr. Fendley?
Yes, indeed, I will.
Oh, Gaston. You'd better wait. I shan't be long. Oh, how do you know Mrs. Grantham? Well?
Aunt Teresa, who's that man?
Are you trying to be funny, Norma?
No, who is he?
That's Jamie Darricott, this year's ladies' man.
Ladies' man.
Ladies' man. And at the moment, the lady happens to be Mrs. Fendley.
Good night, dear. Good night.
Good night.
Yes, Anthony.
Mr. James Darricott has just come in.
Jamie? Why, where?
One moment, Mother. If he's to join this party, I'm leaving.
You're being a silly boy, Anthony.
I'm not silly, but he's cheap, disgusting.
I won't have you talk like that about one of my friends.
He's not one of your friends. Do you know what they're saying?
Anthony, I must forbid you to speak that way to me.
As you wish. But if he stays, I go.
You are always to do whatever suits you, Anthony.
Good night, Mother.
Good night, dear.
Jamie. Jamie. Where have you been?
Where have I not been?
I asked you to be here at 9.
You did, my dear.
If you think I'm going to put up with your insults much longer...
How do you do? How do you do? Would I be insulting you if I asked you to be good enough to lower your voice?
You're doing it purposely. You're trying to humiliate me. Who is she?
Thank you, no. Well, our debutante child. My felicitations.
Thank you. Aren't you just a bit late?
Oh, a bit.
I've been waiting for you since 9. If you think I'm going to forgive you, you're vastly mistaken.
You'll forgive me.
I'm afraid I shall. That's what makes me more furious than anything else.
Well, now for our charming host.
No, you can stay and talk to me for a moment.
Jamie.
My dear Helene, if you must know, I am sorry I was late.
And you know I didn't mean anything I said.
I suppose you didn't. Sometimes...
Sometimes... What, Janie?
Nothing. Nothing at all. How are you?
Thank you.
Well, how do you do? Oh, we've met before.
Have we?
Oh, yes. Last night, as you were leaving the friendlies with Mrs. Blanton, remember?
Oh, I see. Yes, I suppose to a ladies' man, that does constitute an introduction.
Then you do know me. You don't live here in New York, huh?
What makes you think so?
No, I think I should have known. Remaining here for some time?
I'm leaving tonight for my home.
Why? Surely you don't want to leave New York.
I've got to.
Got to? Oh, that's slave talk. You ought to be doing what you want to, while you can want to.
I generally do.
I'm the little man who could show you this big city.
You know, that's one of the few things I could take your word for. But I'm taking the train.
You know, they tell me that they have a train nearly every day now. I could show you a lot of this town in 24 hours.
Somehow, I think your New York and my New York are different.
Suppose we find out. Let's make the grand tour. See the clock around. See New York in all its different lights and shades. High light, low light, uptown or downtown. Start in, say, with dinner at the St. Regis or the Embassy, maybe. Dance a little, drop in at a musical piece, catch an act at the opera, and then a midnight flight above the city. We could turn the plane over and over. The town would go round like a wheel with you sitting on the hub. You'll never know New York till you see it as the moon sees it. Then a nightclub or two, and out in time to catch the sunrise somewhere along the Hudson. The sun does some of its very nicest rising around here. Then we could separate long enough for a bath and a change of clothes. You think you could live without me that long?
After 12 hours of Jamie Darricott, I doubt if I'd be able to breathe any other air.
And after breakfast, we keep on going and going. And at 7:30, I deposit you at your train. I doubt if we would be able to stand more than the 24-hour stretch.
Perhaps you could stand it for 24 hours. You're strong. But I'm just a weak, defenseless little woman.
Ah, but you could trust me.
Perhaps it's me I'm afraid of. You know, there's only one slight catch. I'm meeting my aunt here, and she's staying with me till I take the train at 7:30.
Ah, then it's a bargain. You get rid of your aunt, telegraph your people you've been unavoidably detained for 24 hours, and at 7:30, I'll call for you. Where?
At the Pennsylvania station. I don't know which track.
I'll take you to the train myself tomorrow night.
When I get back to New York again, we'll be time enough for the Darricott round the town tour.
You may never get back, and I may be dead.
You? Oh, you'll live forever.
I doubt it. Dying's getting to be quite a habit around here. And it's a terrible thing to die without seeing New York.
And Jamie Darricott.
You'll come then?
Certainly not. For one thing, my trunks are packed.
That's easy. Unpack them.
Can't. They're shipped.
Easier still. Buy a dress. As a matter of fact, you should have a new gown when you go out with me.
Oh, you're impossible.
Perhaps that's what makes me, possible. Your aunt is approaching. You better not tell her of our plans. She'll want to come along. What's the name of your hotel?
The Holland Plaza.
And your name?
Norma Page.
I'll be there at 7:30. Oh, how do you do, Mrs. Blanton?
How do you do, Mr. Darricott? Hello, Aunt Teresa. I was waiting for you and Mr. Darricott came along.
That's the best thing Mr. Darricott does. Women are always waiting for someone, and Mr. Darricott comes along.
Unfortunately, not always.
I'm horribly late, Norma.
I suppose I dare not allow myself to believe that fate arranged your lateness for my special benefit.
I'm afraid not. It was the hairdresser. Come, Norma. Goodbye, Mr. Darricott.
Goodbye, Mrs. Blanton. Goodbye, Miss Page.
Goodbye.
Mr. James Darricott calling for Miss Norma Page.
I'm sorry, sir. Miss Page checked out of the hotel and left half an hour ago.
You're quite sure?
Oh, yes, sir. She left this note for you, sir.
Thank you. That's all. Come on now, you can do better than this.
Bye-bye.
That ain't no time for this.
Forward!
Seeing someone off, Mr. Darricott? Don't tell me you're at loss for a word. I'm glad you came to see me off. If you hadn't, there's another train in an hour and I would have taken it. Now, if you still want to show me your New York...
Now more than ever.
Well?
Well, on your left we have the City Hall.
Is it an automobile or a bedroom?
It's a loan,
From a lady?
naturally. I told the owner I had to call him a sick aunt. You're the sick aunt.
If you don't mind.
I'll dismiss it when we get to the St. Regis.
Thanks a lot. A dirty old taxi that everybody rides in is so much nicer than some individual's too private car, don't you think? Or do you?
I think.
Hello, Jamie.
Well, hello.
How do you do? I'm glad your arm is better.
Oh, yes, much. You're not alone?
I'm waiting for Hollis and Tony. We're dining here and then going on to the play.
Oh, yes, that's nice. You'll have a splendid evening.
I'm sure we shall. Remember me to your aunt.
Thanks. She wants to be remembered to you.
Doesn't it embarrass you, meeting her here and dining with me?
No.
Well, it embarrasses me.
No. We'll go to the Aristide instead. It's nicer anyway. There's been a shooting every night there for the last month. Let's go this way.
I suppose Mrs. Fenley will hate you after this.
No, she'll merely hate you.
Tell me about it.
There's nothing to tell to her discredit, which is all that would interest another woman, I imagine.
How many cocktails did we have tonight?
I don't know. I gave up counting at 6.
You want to know why you gave up counting at 6?
All right. Why did I give up counting at 6?
Because you can't count over 6.
Hector, number 1 for Mr. Darricott.
What's that? It's Jamie.
Town seems to be dripping with friendlies tonight.
You dirty liar.
You're a lady. 2 tall glasses and some ice water.
Won't you sit down?
It's just as well you didn't go with Mother, because Dad decided to. And he's the only one in the whole town that doesn't dream of Mother's frenzy for you. Jamie, if you and Mother don't look out, there'll be the loudest eruption since Vesuvius. Did you hear what I said about Mother?
Everyone has, except the drummer.
I want to extend to you my unanimous vote of thanks for carrying Jamie off this evening. If you'll keep him from Mother, I'll give you a pension for life. Then when I want him, I'll just take him away from him. Could anything be fairer than that?
Shall we dance?
We? I may, but we can't. Did you ever dance with Jamie, Miss? I hope you know your own Miss. I know. I'm Miss Fenley, if anybody should drive up and ask you, but... Where was I? mother doesn't approve of me dancing with me. She wants to hog him all herself.
Rachel, will you do me a big favor?
Do you any flavor, honey?
Well, then go home. You're in no condition for public appearance.
Jamie, you do me cruel and just.
Rachel, please. Now sit back there where you belong.
Well, I'd rather belong to you. I'm mad about you, if you want to know.
Shall we dance?
I'll bet you a minute.
You're on. No, changed my mind. You're trying to take advantage of me.
Jamie, Petey Welland here bets me $1 million I'll marry him. I'll bet him $1 million he don't marry me. Come on, Mr. Wellington. Put your $1 million in Jamie's hand.
Very like. Oh, very like.
Put up or shut up. Where's your $1 million?
Where's yours?
I don't have to have mine, because you lose. You owe it to me already.
How do you make that out?
You bet me $1 million that you'd marry me. I'm the one to decide. I decide you don't marry me.
Bet you another $1 million I do.
I'll take that bet, too.
All right. Where's your money?
You pay me the $1 million you owe me on the first bet, and I'll put it up for the second.
But I don't owe you.
See? You're a Welsher. Do you imagine I'd marry a Welsher?
You marry me.
Never speak to me again, here? Miss Gushenot, would you marry a Welsher?
Oh, who cares?
I'm going to make a riot.
Rachel.
What do you want?
Now listen to me. I want you to get Peyton out of here and take him home. You don't want to make a night of it with him. He'll fight himself and die of hydrophobia. I'm going home myself.
You want me to get old Petey home?
That's it exactly. Miss Page and I are leaving.
I got it.
Good night.
I got old Petey home. Never mind, I'll handle it. Petey, old boy. Come on. Go home.
I never knew it to get 5 in the morning.
I never knew it to get 5 in the morning.
Where to now?
My hotel, if you don't mind.
Oh.
What's the matter? Am I being a kill sport, going home in the middle of the evening?
Why, you haven't even seen the skyline from my apartment yet.
Mr. Darricott, you don't mean you're going to ask me to your apartment to see your ship models? Or is it your collection of rare old English bindings? I haven't read a novel for a month, so I'm not quite sure what the ruse is.
When I invite you to my apartment to see the skyline, I invite you to my apartment to see the skyline, and that's all.
Maybe that's why I'm disappointed.
It's really the most beautiful sight in the whole city, particularly at this hour, with dawn just breaking over the town. Skyscrapers like so many jagged peaks. The streets like so many canyons.
All right. I'll come.
Taxi.
Sir.
Sir?
I'm sorry, Mr. Darricott. I tried.
I don't understand.
I think I understand.
What is it?
Miss Fendley, sir. Miss Rachel Fendley.
Oh, all right, Eugene.
I should hate to interfere with any of your engagements.
Please don't go now. I may need your help.
Hello. I got rid of Petey, as you told me, and here I am.
I told you to get rid of Petey?
Who are you trying to fool? Yourself or Miss... What's her name there? Oh,
I can understand that. You've got to go home.
No, I don't want to go home.
She can't go home in this condition. Why don't you put her to bed here?
No, I don't want to go to bed.
Don't you want me to help you?
I don't know what I want.
Well, what you want most right now is sleep.
Jamie.
Come on, Charles. Put your arm around me.
There's a bedroom just in there. You'll find everything you need.
We women must stick together.
No, I don't want to stick together.
It'll all be over in a minute.
No.
There you are, right over here.
Jamie.
Listen, darling, over here. Come on now.
No.
Let me help you.
No.
There.
I don't want to go home. No.
Me do.
No. Jamie. Jamie.
I'll have coffee ready in a few moments, sir.
Oh, good. And tell the operator downstairs that I'm not in to anyone.
Very good, sir.
I couldn't get her in the tub, but she's asleep now. There was a picture in there of her mother. It seemed to bother her a little.
A nice little civilization. 1 million young men and women all over the country at this very moment, drunk like her. Not to mention their fathers and mothers.
Our plane. It was going to make the town go round like a wheel with me sitting on the hub. You never know New York till you see it as the moon sees it. It was a nice speech. What we call a good approach and go. But I'm afraid you dubbed your putt.
We've played only the first hole.
You better go.
I don't know why I don't kill you, Jamie Darricott. I wait here for you tonight.
No one asked you to wait for me, Rachel.
Who has a better right? If you're lying to me, if you're not going to marry me, I'll kill myself.
Rachel.
Maybe you don't think I know what I'm saying, but I do. Are you going to marry me? Are you?
I don't think so.
Want to see Mr. Darricott?
I'm sorry, sir, but Mr. Darricott is not at home.
You can't stop me.
But I've already told you, sir, that Mr. Darricott is not at home.
But I know he's here.
Sorry, excuse me, sir. I've already
Keep out
told
of
you
my
that
way.
Mr. Darricott is not at home. Excuse me, sir. One moment.
I've come for my sister.
Hello, brother mine. You dirty Tony! You keep out of this. Listen, I got sick from liquor, and Miss Who's this here put me to bed. That's all. And if you weren't such a phony saint, you'd be on your knees to both of them.
I'm sorry. May I take you?
Home. Let you make an entrance with the erring sister and a couple of hallelujahs. Ha, ha, and ha. Say, how did you know I was here?
Pady followed you and watched you come into this hotel. Then he phoned me.
But he must have known that Miss Page and I...
Everybody knows you have your women come up here. You've laid your filthy hands on my family for the last time. I've heard so many people say that somebody ought to kill you.
Any woman that has anything to do with Jamie Darricott has no one to blame but herself. Any account I have to settle with him, I settle alone. Get out, Tony.
I think I'll go home now, if you don't mind.
Shall I see you again before you leave?
I'm leaving tonight. You may have tea with me if you like.
I like.
At my hotel, then, say at 4:30?
At 4:30. I'll be there.
Good night.
I don't know what to say about...
Don't say it.
Thanks.
You know, I'm beginning to think...
What?
Never mind. They say you're without a conscience.
The more I know of other people's morals, the more I realize that mine are as good as the next. The only difference I can see is that I don't pretend.
They say you're lazy.
Lazier than most people, I suppose.
Too lazy to earn a living, perhaps.
Norma? Since I can remember anything, I remember being picked up by women. They used to maul me around in my cradle. By and by, I learned that I could make money by it. I hated to study. I wouldn't run errands or deliver newspapers, keep a lemonade stand, or do any of the things that kids do to earn a dime. Eventually, I became a bond salesman. But the only opportunities that seemed to come my way were, well, when some skittish dowager needed to be convinced that she wanted bonds. But never a deal involving logic or common sense.
That's no excuse.
Of course not. But the skittish dowagers usually seemed more interested in me than in my bonds. And it wasn't that I squandered flattery on them. If anything, they squandered it on me.
Why?
Perhaps it's because I look at women the way other women look at them. The men make and the women spend. How many wives let their husbands work themselves to death and then complain that they're neglected and spend their husband's money on other men?
On you?
On me.
Oh, that's...
I know. That's everything that's low and unspeakable.
Then why did you do it?
I suppose because I thought I couldn't help myself. I was wrong.
I'm sorry.
Norma, I'm going to ask you something. I shan't mind what your reaction is, except for one thing. Don't laugh. Please don't laugh.
I won't laugh.
I used to be amused when I heard of it happening to other people. But now it's happened to me. And it seems just simple and natural. I love you.
But that's not a question.
Do you think you could ever care for me? That's a question, isn't it?
Well, I suppose I could fall for you.
I've fallen into the clouds. Heaven help me when I start to drop.
You don't have to drop if you don't want to.
If I don't want to. Is that your answer to my question?
What do you expect me to answer?
I don't know. If I thought you could care for me...
I could care for what you might be.
I can be what you want me to be.
Are there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'll see you in a moment. Thanks very much for your frankness. My detectives traced the jeweler to your shop. We should have had a good deal of trouble in getting hold of the stuff if you hadn't been willing to cooperate.
I always aim to do the right thing, sir.
You've done the right thing this time. I'll see that you don't lose by it.
Thank you, sir.
All right. That'll be all. Well, Rachel, my dear,
Hello, Dad.
you're looking very smart, it seems to me.
Am I?
Well, what's the matter? You lost your nerve? You spent your allowance, you want another check. Just this once, Daddy?
It's not money. It's much more serious.
Well, if it isn't money, you take it from your poor old father that it's not serious.
Very serious.
Good gracious, don't tell me you're in love.
I'm not in love with anybody.
Well, if you're not in love, then...
There's something I must talk to you about.
All right. You sit down there and talk to me about it. Well?
It's Mother and Jamie Darricott.
Mother? Mr. Darricott? What do you mean?
You've got to do something about them.
Do something? In what way?
They're making a fool out of you.
My dear child, don't be silly.
Dad, you ought to kill Jamie Darricott.
Oh, you've been reading too much trash.
Jamie Darricott's the lowest scoundrel I know. If I could, I'd torture him for the way he's...
The way he's what?
Nothing. Just that he isn't fit to live.
Rachel. Rachel, listen to me. I trust your mother thoroughly. I like Mr. Darricott. You must remember that I haven't the time to give to your mother that she has the right to demand. Mr. Darricott's been kind enough to take her to the opera and 2 other places when I couldn't. And that's all there is. Your mother and Mr. Darricott.
Dad, you're blind.
If that's your only grievance against Mr. Darricott, it is your only grievance against him, isn't it, Rachel? He hasn't become involved with you, has he? Oh, my dear child, I've never seen you like this before. Now, look here. If I were you, I'd forget all about our little talk. I know more about Mother and Mr. Darricott than you think I do. More, perhaps, than you do.
Dad.
And there's absolutely nothing to worry about. There. Now you run along like a nice girl. The great banker is going to settle down and make more money. Starve a couple of hundred of widows and orphans before nightfall. Goodbye, darling.
I'm not going to dodge anything. I'll tell Mrs. Fendley frankly what has happened. As soon as I can, I'm going to repay her. As far as I'm able, I'll give her back everything that she's given me.
Jamie, when you tell her, don't be unkind, will you?
I won't. I won't. And Norma...
What is it, dear?
I don't see how I can get out of this Catherine and Potemkin thing. It's been around town for weeks that she's going to give this ball.
I know. You should go. It won't make any difference to me. You know that. I'll be back in a week.
You'll not be back in a week. You're going to stay right here. And the day after tomorrow, we're going to be married. What do you say?
Of course. You know, it's getting to be quite a habit with me, wiring my family that I'm not taking the train after all.
When you take that train, you'll take it as Mrs. Darricott, with me.
You mean you'll meet me at the station again some night at 7:30?
I won't meet you at the station. I'll take you there.
That's definite.
Definite and essential, because from now on, when you're leaving or arriving, I'll be leaving or arriving too.
Oh.
You frightened me.
Did I? I'm sorry.
Still determined not to go to the ball?
Like this?
It's going to be sensational. Fatty Milbank sent all the way to Paris for her costume. That'll be all the week.
Catherine, eh? And Potemkin, Darricott, I suppose?
Well, you positively refused yourself to go, so...
A great lover, wasn't he, Potemkin?
Oh, now, I don't need to tell you who Potemkin was.
And died suddenly, didn't he, Potemkin?
I think so.
These ladies' men, I suppose they all have a pretty definite idea that they might run at any time into sudden death.
Horace, what are you driving at?
Nothing.
Well, if you mean to suggest that Jamie Darricott and I...
Why do you think I was referring to Darricott?
It's really been very nice of him to take me out as often as he has. When you've been tied up in business or something, I really don't know what I should have done without him.
I have an idea that I owe him something for what he's done for you.
Horace, I don't know what this is all about, but...
Charming jewelry you're wearing tonight.
Thank you.
You, haven't worn your emerald bracelet in a long time, have you?
Emerald bracelet?
Yes. The one I gave you on your birthday.
Oh, that one. I'm having it reset.
I imagine Darricott knows a good deal about jewelry, doesn't he?
Perhaps. I haven't asked him.
You ought to. He might have some very interesting ideas about jewelry.
Horace, I insist upon knowing what you've got on your mind.
Helene, I'm sorry. I'm keeping you from the ball. Good night.
Hello? Circle 1633. Hello, Metropole? Mr. James Darricott, please. Yes, Mr. James Darricott.
Norma,
Darling, what's happened?
I'm sorry I had to phone you to come here, but I couldn't very well go to you in this.
I understand, dear. I came as soon as I could. What is it?
Mrs. Fendley phoned me a few minutes ago. She just had a talk with her husband. She thinks that he knows about everything.
Well?
Well, can't you see what that means? It will be one of the nastiest scandals that New York has seen in years.
Are you afraid?
Yes, I am. For you. You'll be a target for every dirty mind in New York. Norma, I can't let you in for that. I can't let your name be linked with mine. I can't expect you to marry me.
But we still love each other, don't we? Why, darling, if anything happens to you, no one's going to keep me out of it. What happens to you happens to me. There's no one can hurt me, Jamie, except you. There's nothing I want except you. If you still love me.
More than anything in the world.
Well, that's all that matters then. I expected to find you alone. How do you do? I think I'd better go.
No. Please stay.
I have something to discuss with you that does not concern Miss Page. You must know that.
But I have something to tell you, Helene. I had hoped to be able to tell it to you under different circumstances. But I feel it best to tell you now. Miss Page and I are going to be married.
I don't believe you. Jamie. You can't do this to me. You can't humiliate me before the whole town.
I've no intention of humiliating you, Helene.
Oh. Goodbye, dear.
Goodbye, dear. Just this once. And then it will never be goodbye again.
Darling.
What else could I expect from a ladies' man?
Ladies' man is dead.
My Potemkin. And I was worried about you because I thought Horace knew. Well, if he does know, he'll divorce me. And you'll marry me. Make no mistake about that. You're going to marry me. You're not going to marry that girl. Before you do, I'll kill you.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Darricott.
Horace.
Your guests are waiting for you, Helene. The grand march is about to begin.
But I can't go without Mr. Darricott.
You will please go now.
And to what do I owe the honor of this visit?
These Don't worry. I know you didn't steal them. I'm fully aware that my wife gave them to you.
Mr. Darricott, please.
I believe I heard my wife say just now that she would kill you.
She didn't know what she was saying.
She knew perfectly well what she was saying. She was mistaken. I'm going to spare her that trouble. Don't bother to answer that. I can conceive of nothing, Mr. Darricott, that could come to you over the telephone that would be of importance to you. None.
There you are, my dear. I'm so sorry to have kept you waiting. Oh, such a lovely party, Mrs. Fenley. You think so, my dear?
It's almost time to start the Grand March today.
But we'll start it just as soon as Mr. Darricott comes down. He'll only be a moment. He's detained.
You really mean to go through with this?
If I don't kill you, my wife will. My wife or Rachel. You see, Mr. Darricott, I know a good deal more about you than you think I do.
Yes, please try him again.
Mr. Fenley, I'm not going to beg for my life. You may be thoroughly justified in killing me. I only want to say that not only for me, but for you, you may be making a great mistake.
Is Mr. Darricott here yet? No, that's what they're waiting for. Oh, thank you. But, Mr. Fenley, that is,
I will lead the Grand March, Mrs. Fenley. Mr. Darricott has found it impossible to appear.
Horace, you...
We'd better start.
now. Stand back. Get out. Get him back. Get these guys back. Come on, get back now.
Anything happened?
Plenty.
Darricott?
Jamie Darricott himself.
Look. That guy in street clothes. Wait. Let him have his fun. He can't get away.
What's the matter with you, sister? Were you in love with him, too? I'm sorry.
You don't have to be sorry for me. You loved me. I think I'd never take that away from you.